We're going to a vintage and classic car show. So we found a poster of the London trams. And then for the dressing room, we have 4 of these prints, and they're actually French, Parisian, from the 1920s. I think it's from a magazine. I thought it was quite fitting for the dressing room once we've done it. And I love the actual frames. I'm not sure if it's like a walnut or it's a cherry.
It's like a burr wood.
Or a burr. Oh yeah. But otherwise,
yeah,
they're in
the
really
frames
good.
are quite nice.
They're in good condition. Just gone and done some groceries, and I'm now on my way back home to cook. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, The Sunday Cook, where today we are going to be making a roast chicken with lots of herbs, lots of vegetables, lots of wonderful things. So the perfect accompaniment for a roast chicken is usually, you know, your typical roast potatoes and your sugar puddings and all of that. But I wanted something a little bit fresher. As we're entering spring, I thought, you know what, lots of vegetables. So I'm using shallots, I've got some stem broccoli, and then of course some black kale. And all of that is going to go together with my corn-fed roast chicken. So with the black kale, what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip off the leaves from the stems, and don't discard the stems. So if your kale is really fresh and the stems are still really tender, what you can do is you can actually save them, chop them up, and use them as another vegetable, or to just, yeah, extend the vegetables. I've just chopped them into little cubes, and those are going to be thrown into the pan first because they're a little bit thicker and they're going to cook slower than the rest of the vegetables. My stem broccoli all came already prepared, so I didn't really have to do much on that. You can use regular broccoli as well. Then with the shallots, I'm using 1 whole shallot, and half of the shallot is going to be used to make the base of my sauce, and the sauce is going to be made with the cooking juices from the roasting tray. Then the other part of the shallot is going to be used together with my vegetables. The vegetables are going to steam gently in my wok because the leaves are quite big, so it takes a lot of space, but it will wilt down. And I'm going to be cooking that with plenty of garlic. Then I'm going to finally chop my fennel. I'm using 1 fennel bulb. And I love fennel because it has a soft aniseedy flavor when it's cooked. If ever you've got yourself some fennel bulbs, you can also eat them raw in a salad, but I would recommend chopping them even finer. So I've got my little box full of herbs, and the herbs that I'm going to be using today include rosemary, some parsley, and thyme, and I'm going to create a little bit of a paste. So this herb and garlic paste is going to be added to some room temperature unsalted butter. And that butter, that herb butter, is going to be slipped between the skin of the breast meat and the flesh of the breast, and that's gonna make my chicken guaranteed moist and succulent and delicious. And all that herb is just going to flavor the flesh. So I'm picking out the tender leaves from my rosemary, and I've put in my thyme and a good generous bunch of parsley. I'm divided my parsley into 2 portions, so 1 portion is going to go with my herb butter, and the other portion is actually going to be stuffed in the cavity of my chicken, together with a couple cloves of garlic that I'll keep whole, and I'll just simply crush. There you go. So I'm gonna add that to my mortar and pestle, and of course you can use a food processor for this stage. A good pinch of salt, and I am just gonna pound it. So I'm gonna pound it until it resembles a thick paste. And here I've got my butter, so I'm using approximately 150 grams. It does look like a lot, but remember, this is going to permeate and infiltrate the flesh of the meat. It's also going to help the skin of the meat, of the chicken, crisp up. And the excess fat is going to drip at the bottom of the pan. So make sure that your butter is at room temperature, because it'll be much easier to incorporate and mix all of that delicious herb mixture that you've just made. Make sure to season generously with some freshly cracked black pepper and of course some sea salt. So once you've incorporated everything, the butter and the herbs, divide it into two portions, so one for the left breast and one for the right breast. So for the cavity, as I mentioned, I'm just crushing a couple cloves of garlic, and I'm going to put that together with my parsley. Don't worry about chopping that. And I'm going to add that in the cavity of my chicken. Most chickens, when you buy them from the supermarket, they already come trussed, but because I'm putting something inside it, I need to detruss it. Some people like to truss it back, so to guarantee an equal and even cooking, but actually I don't find that really necessary, and I like all of the skin surface to really crisp up, including the areas that are by the joints. So as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm trying to detach the skin from the flesh, and the best way to do it is to use your fingers. If you are a little bit squeamish, you can get somebody else to do it. If you're nice to your butcher, I'm sure they'll help you out, but otherwise you can also use a spoon. The problem with a spoon, though, because of the metal edge, you might have to be really careful because you don't want to tear the skin, because the skin is what's going to hold all that butter against the breast meat. So as you can see, I'm adding my herb butter, the two portions that I've divided. I'm slipping them gently into that gap that I've created using my finger between the skin and the flesh of the breast. Once you've done that, what you want to do is you want to massage it in such a way that it spreads out that butter all across the surface area of the breast meat. And you want to create a very even layer of butter. That butter is going to basically self-baste your chicken. And that's one of the ways that you can apply in order to really guarantee a very succulent, moist, and crispy on the outside roast chicken. Season the exterior of the chicken generously with plenty of sea salt and of course some freshly black pepper. And by this stage you don't really need to add any other fat content or oil. I've left mine as it is, and I've put it in a preheated oven at 200 degrees and on the middle shelf. So the entire cooking time for the chicken is an hour, but just check depending on the size of your chicken. And during that time, I'm going to prepare my vegetables. And I'm serving this, instead of potatoes, I'm serving it with a very creamy polenta. So in a saucepan, I've added my aromatics, which include garlic, of course, a bay leaf, some semi-skimmed milk. You can use whole fat milk if you'd like. And I have added 1 cup of polenta, which I've left for about 20 minutes on a very low heat, lowest temperature, and basically just left it. Now I'm just giving it a little bit of a stir. I'm gonna taste it in a minute, and yeah, it should be ready. Guys, I wish I had smell-o-vision because this kitchen just can't cope. It's so good. It smells so good. I've taken my chicken out of the oven and I'm going to give it a bit of a baste. So this size, I've allowed about an hour. Okay, and as you can see, it's nice and golden. It's yeah, it's looking good and pretty. Don't forget to baste the inside. It's always a good idea to do that. So, I've just transferred my chicken onto the board so that it can rest, and my vegetables are in the wok, and I've deglazed with a little bit of wine and a little bit of chicken stock. And what I'm doing now is I am bringing everything to a boil, and then I'm going to reduce the liquid content to about half, and that's going to intensify all that chicken flavor that we had earlier, and that'll create my jus. There we go.
God damn, Jimmy. This some serious gourmet shit. Me and Vincent would have been satisfied with some freeze-dried Taster's Choice, right? And these sprigs this serious gourmet shit.
So there you have it, the perfectly roast chicken with herb butter, and look at this. I'm carving it, and the best way to check that your chicken is done is if the juices flow clear. And here I can see there's a lot of juice. A lot of juice. So I hope that you enjoyed today's episode on how to make the perfect roast chicken, and if you like this recipe, then please subscribe for more. And if you have any questions or if you wanted to make any comments, make sure that you add your comments in the comment box below. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more recipes like this. The Sunday Cook is also available on Instagram and on Facebook for the full-length recipe and ingredient list. So I hope you enjoy. Can you hear the music? Hey guys! Oh, I'm fucking up again! Oh!
That's fatty.
Hey! Hello! I should do it without the glasses.
I'm touching up the bits.
Like, no! Agree.
She's always on this.
I'm gonna go clean my glasses because they're all fucked up. Hello, cat!